We begin this broadcast with breaking news from the UK. Widespread unrest continues to unfold across Northern Ireland following the attempted beheading of 44-year-old Stephen Ogilvie, reportedly perpetrated by a Sudanese migrant now identified as Hadi Olidid on Monday evening. In preparation for a second night of protests, surrounding businesses in Belfast closed shop at midday on Wednesday. Bus and train services were suspended by late afternoon, and some schools sent students home early. Outrage among locals continued to grow over the influx of migrant-related crimes in the UK. Last night, demonstrators and police met in a standoff, with law enforcement deploying water cannons against protesters as anti-migration sentiments continue to mount. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and the Liberal Democrats stand accused of attempting to use the rising frustration among British patriots this week to crack down on free speech online. On Wednesday, during a session of questions to the Prime Minister in the House of Commons, leader of the Liberal Dems, Ed Davey, called for restrictions on social media platform X, blaming it for fueling violence and division.
The Prime Minister agree this is not who we are as a country, and that it is not free speech if it's controlled by tech billionaires and their algorithms. So will he crack down properly on platforms like X that are fueling violence and hatred?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we will crack down on anyone who's fueling this division. But it is really important, and I agree with him, we're heading into a very difficult situation in Northern Ireland. As I say, I've spoken to the Chief Constable, the First Minister and Deputy First Minister this morning. They are united in saying we should all be calling for calm. The police are on the front line, and it's our duty as politicians to call for that calm, and nobody who's a politician should be whipping up division and hatred.
Shifting focus to the Middle East, US Central Command forces had a busy night last night. In retaliation for the downing of a US Army Apache helicopter on Monday, President Donald Trump announced yesterday that American troops would be hitting Iran hard overnight. CENTCOM forces launched self-defense strikes on Iranian military surveillance capabilities, communication systems, and air defense sites across Iran that posed a threat to US forces and international commercial ships transiting regional waters.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here at U.S. Central Command. Admiral Cooper, the commander of CENTCOM, was going to be here with me. We just got done with detailed briefings, but of course he is busy because CENTCOM, Central Command, will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be. Because Iran has a chance to make a good deal, a great deal, to codify what they said they've been willing to do, and they haven't been willing to do it. So, as President Trump said, they've been tapping. You can see when someone's trying to tap on a deal. Instead, they're going to have tap bombs dropping on key facilities in Iran from the United States of America. And that's not because we want to restart anything we don't have to restart. It's because the War Department is prepared to set the terms to ensure that we get the kind of deal President Trump expects. And Admiral Cooper and the team here at CENTCOM has done a phenomenal job from the beginning on Epic Fury and through this blockade, ensuring that we have a chance to reach that end state, which is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, which they say they don't want. And so since we're so close to that negotiated deal, if that's the case, they should step up and do it.
President Trump further discussed the Apache helicopter incident in the Oval Office yesterday, adding that Tehran's downing of the aircraft justifies renewed US strikes on Iranian targets.
You posted this morning about Iran. You said that they've taken too long to get to a deal, and I want to make sure I quote you correctly. You said that now they will have to pay the price. Yeah. What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, we're going to be attacking them very hard.
You're resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, we are. Based on the helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that. You know, they shot down a very incredible, actually an incredible machine, and At first they said they didn't do it, then they admitted they did it. It's sort of easy because we have the bomb. We actually have the bomb. Got very lucky that bomb didn't explode. That bomb was lodged in the helicopter. It didn't explode. It was on fire, but it didn't explode. Those two guys, they knew how to fly, but they got very lucky. And then we had the unmanned boat going very, very fast at speeds that you wouldn't want to go. That's why it's unmanned, I guess, because nobody can go in that. But they rescued. So both people are. Fortunately, the pilots are okay. Now, look, I've been working with Iran for a number of months, and they should sign their deal. It's a good deal. It doesn't give them the right to have a nuclear weapon. In fact, it totally prohibits them from ever having a nuclear weapon. And it was just tap, tap, tap. I don't know what they're doing. So they then shot at our helicopter. Very expensive helicopter, by the way, but much more importantly, the two men, fortunately, they're okay. But an amazing rescue. If you ever get a clip, you won't believe the rescue, how cool it was.
During yesterday's Q&A with the press, the US Commander-in-Chief also revealed that a fully negotiated deal has been agreed to between the United States and Iran. However, according to the president, the Iranian regime is now attempting to delay or avoid signing the agreement.
We built it. We gave a lot to Ukraine through Biden. He gave a lot of money, a lot. But we're in great shape. We have a lot of storage capacity. But he gave a lot. And if you look at what's happened, when I left, our cupboards were full. He gave it. Now I sell it to the European Union, and they give it to Ukraine for the most part. But we have the strongest military anywhere in the world, and sometimes you'll have to use it. And we have to remember, and when people hear this, Iran very simply cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't. And they've agreed to that. All they have to do is they have to start signing a paper. It's fully negotiated. We have a fully negotiated, but they're tapping and tapping. And I say, well, all right, let's give them a couple of more days. They're tapping because it's a meaningful paper. They know when they sign that paper, it's meaningful.
And in a surprising development, President Trump informed reporters that Project Freedom never shut down as the media was initially told. Rather, it continued covertly. Over the past few weeks, US CENTCOM forces have successfully assisted in safely escorting neutral commercial shipping vessels through the Strait of Hormuz under the cover of night.
There's another thing that was revealed today by the president that the press has not been aware of, but certainly this building, the U.S. Central Command, has known, is that Project Freedom, the idea of running ships through the Strait of Hormuz, it never stopped. It just went underground. And so there's some things the public knows and some things the public doesn't know. But ultimately, we've been protecting commercial shipping going through the Strait of Hormuz, as the president announced, to the tune of over 100 million barrels that have moved through and more in the middle of the night, protected by the United States in a way that Iran can't stop. They can't see it and they can't stop it. So answer me this. If our blockade is ironclad, which it is, we just disabled another tanker attempting to leave just yesterday. Our blockade has stopped almost 140 ships attempting to navigate in or out to Iranian ports. So if our blockade is ironclad, which it is, and we're able to move commercial shipping in and out of the Strait of Hormuz, who controls the Strait of Hormuz? And President Trump said it, and he's right. The United States of America controls the Strait of Hormuz. We're able to bring oil in and out and other things with partners, and have done so now for weeks and weeks in ways the Iranians don't want to acknowledge. That's a powerful reality on the ground. Add that to what the United States military, what Central Command did to their Navy, to their Air Force, to their air defenses, to their power projection capabilities, and we know exactly on this ledger who's on the strong end and who is not, who's had decisive effects and who can't defend. And so from the beginning, we've shown overwhelmingly the kind of capabilities the War Department can bring. This building continues to plan. And so Those strikes that'll happen tonight will be strong. They will be clear. If they have it happen tomorrow night, they will be strong and they will be clear. And throughout, Iran has an opportunity to make a deal. That's the point. President Trump is a deal maker, the best in the world. He's prepared to make that deal. Iran would be wise to take it. Otherwise, they would have to deal with the types of plans that I just had a chance to see inside Central Command.
Stay connected to the Love World networks as we continue to bring you the latest. Iran isn't the only country facing pressure from Washington. China's economy is expected to take a knock after the US Department of the Treasury announced on Wednesday new sanctions on several Chinese and Hong Kong-linked entities and individuals accused of supporting Iranian military procurement networks. Part of the Trump administration's Operation Economic Fury, the sanctions target Mustad Limited and its Shanghai subsidiary, along with Shangshan Hong Kong Limited, Domus Trading HK Limited, and Solis International Limited. US authorities say the firms helped secure military equipment for the IRGC and Iran's Ministry of Defense and Armed Forces Logistics. And in Lebanon, skirmishes continue between Israel and militant group Hezbollah. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a video address to the Lebanese people, reaffirming that Israel's fight is not against them, but against Hezbollah.
I have a message for you, the people of Lebanon. Israel is not at war with you. We're at war with Hezbollah, that has taken your country hostage, that does Iran's bidding, that uses your territory to launch terrorist attacks against Israel. Do you remember what Lebanon was like before Iran and Hezbollah turned it into a nightmare? Remember the cafes? Remember the culture? Remember the calm? All that's gone because Hezbollah and Iran want to drag us into war over and over and over again. You deserve better. Your children deserve better. You know by now that Israel will do whatever it takes to protect our families, our communities. Hezbollah is weaker than ever. Israel is stronger than ever. We've taken out nearly 10,000 Hezbollah terrorists so far. We're systematically clearing out South Lebanon of these fanatics. No matter where they are, we'll find them. You also know we yearn for peace with you, with Lebanon. A peace where our two peoples can invest together, build together, thrive together. The only impediment, the only obstacle to this beautiful vision is Hezbollah. They want war, not peace. They want death, not life. They will sacrifice as many of you as possible to achieve their sick aims. Don't let your future be dictated by medieval theocrats hell-bent on destroying our common civilization. Israel wants peace with you. Seize your future. Join Israel. Build safety and prosperity for all of our children. And once Hezbollah is dismantled, the possibilities are endless, and they are sky high.
And in the United States Southern Command, following a trip to Guantanamo Bay, U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth issued a warning to Cuban officials against the procurement of weapons that could target the American homeland. He noted that such actions wouldn't end well for Cuba. Hegseth further urged Havana to make the right decision, adding that the U.S. hopes to be a friend to the leadership of the Cuban government.
And then you look at Cuba, where we are, where the United States of America has been for over 100 years and where we will remain in key terrain. And that government has decisions to make about what kind of reforms they want to pursue. It's not my job to make that decision for them. It's our job at the War Department to be prepared for whatever our Commander-in-Chief asks us to do on behalf of defending the American people. It would be unwise for the government of Cuba to try to procure or get access to the types of weapons that could reach this base or the American homeland. They would be inviting the kind of confrontation not only do they not want, but they could not stand. No country on earth can match the capabilities of the United States of America. We seek no enemies. We seek no foes. We're a great friend, and we hope soon we can be a friend of the leadership of the government of Cuba. For now, let's see what happens. but the Department of War will give the Commander-in-Chief every single option he needs inside that contingency. And when designated terrorist organizations, criminal cartels, in drug boats, I would not get in a drug boat in the Caribbean or the Eastern Pacific right now, because we are hunting you like we hunted Al-Qaeda and ISIS in the Middle East, with the same networks and the same intelligence and the same capabilities. And that's why we've seen drug flows in the water drop dramatically. They're trying to find new routes. Doesn't mean they're going to stop, but that's why we formed the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, where now we're working with friendly countries in their countries to find where these designated terrorists operate, where they create their drugs, and we're partnering with them. Sometimes we're doing it in the open, so the world can know, and a lot of times we're doing it quietly, so that we can work with those governments.
We'll be back shortly with more on the latest global developments. Stay tuned.
Feasting on messages from the Pastor Chris Digital Library just got more exciting. Experience the transformative power of God's Word like never before with life-changing teachings by the man of God, Pastor Chris, on the Pastor Chris Digital Library, now available in all of the most widely spoken languages of the world. Dutch,
Christus in jou, de hoop van glorie. Vanaf dat moment, wanneer Christus zijn intrek neemt in de kamers van jouw hart.
Spanish,
Vamos a usar el nombre de Jesús. Expulsar demonios.
French,
Je pourrais vous montrer plusieurs autres domaines importants dans la Bible.
Arabic,
لا يمكنك تمجيد الله بجسد مريض.
Mandarin,
白衣的人站在他们旁边。当耶稣升天，两个天使出现在门徒注视耶稣的升天。
Russian,
Вот почему вокруг так много убийств. В мире так много насилия в мире.
German,
Tat es in Christus. Das habe ich gerade gelesen. In Christus Jesus. Tat es in Christus.
You can now access these powerful teachings culled from the Healing Stream's live healing services with Pastor Chris with titles such as Who is in Your House? Where is Jesus? What is the Purpose of Healing? Knowing God's Plan for You, Part 1 and 2. Why did Jesus come? Using the name of Jesus. He has given us His glory, the benediction, and others in your preferred language, making it easier to understand, receive, and walk in the light of the Word. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Subscribe to access these messages in your preferred language and experience the miraculous. Download the Pastor Chris Digital Library app today from the Love World App Store at www.loveworldappstore.com. Pastor Chris Digital Library, a place of solutions.
The Kremlin has condemned the European Union's latest proposal for a 21st sanctions package against Russia. In a press briefing on Wednesday, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova called EU sanctions predictable and ineffective. She, however, added that tough steps would follow from Russia's side in response to the newly proposed measures.
When one speaks about relations between Russia and European Union, different assessments can be given. You know them quite well. But there is a particular share of stability and predictability. The European Union continues to manufacture new packages of illegal restrictions against Russia. In Brussels, they completely refuse to understand that they have not achieved and will not achieve their goals or influence in our sovereign policy. But since the Euro bureaucrats are no longer capable of stopping the sanctions flywheel, all they can do is threaten us with new restrictions.
Now, despite the proposed sanctions, Russia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sergei Lavrov, revealed on Wednesday that ambassadors of the UK, France, and Germany are requesting meetings with Moscow. This follows Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's meeting with the E3 nations on Sunday, where they called for a diplomatic settlement to the Russia-Ukraine war. However, despite Lavrov's openness to such meetings, he expressed doubt that any progress would be made.
We will report that ambassadors of those countries, the Great Britain, France and Germany, have been requesting meetings with my deputy. We will have that meeting, we will listen to what they have to say, and it will be interesting to hear those people say anything that could lead to any constructive thoughts after their leaders, their superiors, those ambassadors Merz, Starmer and Macron had said absolutely insulting things about the Russian Federation, making very personal remarks.
Let's take a recap of today's headlines. Police deploy water cannons as Northern Ireland sees a second night of anti-immigration protests following a brutal knife attack by a Sudanese asylum seeker. President Trump reveals US military continued Project Freedom covertly, safely.
There's another thing that was revealed today by the president that the press has not been aware of, but certainly this building, the U.S. Central Command, has known, is that Project Freedom, the idea of running ships through the Strait of Hormuz, it never stopped.
US Treasury imposes new sanctions on Chinese firms, facilitating weapons procurement for the Iranian regime. Kremlin calls the EU's latest sanctions package illegal as Brussels targets Russian energy, economy, and military personnel.
The European Union continues to manufacture new packages of illegal restrictions against Russia.
And that concludes our global news updates. I'm Marika Schroeder, and this is LN24 International. Stay tuned for more breaking news reports. Goodbye.